Morning everyone, thanks for your patience. As I said, my name's Craig Harrison. I'm from Alloy Computer Products here in Australia. We might have a couple of people on board from New Zealand, where we partner with Connector Systems to supply most of the products that you'll see in this presentation today. A little bit of housekeeping for us. First of all, we'll be recording the webinar up until the point when we start the question and answer session. During the presentation, please take advantage of the chat service to ask any questions that you might have, and we'll get round to them at the end. Then when we get to the end of the presentation, as I said, I'll stop recording and open up the floor for questions and answers. In about 24 hours after the webinar's finished, we'll have a copy of the presentation, a recording of the webinar, plus a data file with a series of data sheets for all the products referred to in the presentation, available on our website under the webinar section, where you'll be able to download all of those at your leisure. And with that, I think we should probably get on with it. So as I said, my name's Craig Harrison. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Alloy, and one of the solutions we've put together and have been offering in the market for a little while now has got a very positive result, so we thought we'd take the chance to tell you all about it. So, SIP-enabled modular security. What's gone on over the last 10 years or so as SIP has taken over the marketplace with voice, whether it's endpoints or SIP trunking, what we've seen is a number of SIP-enabled devices become available. We've sold some of these for quite a while now, but just recently we've taken on the Grandstream range. That's added another layer of SIP-enabled products to our product suite. So what we're going to talk about is how you put these together into a security solution, and that security solution can be applied from everything from schools down to small retail, and smart home environments. And as I said, by the time we get to the end of it, you'll see how the different bits and pieces add together to do that. And why do we like it? Because it's a needs-based solution. You don't have to go and buy all of it. You don't have to spend big bucks to get this system enabled. You can just buy the pieces of it as you need and then add to it as your requirements grow. So you can start off with, for example, video, add video recording, telephony, paging, etc., etc. So the pieces of the puzzle that we can put together now and put together into a pretty tightly integrated solution is the telephony. So we have a number of telephony solutions available, and a number of different platforms that this solution can be put on and together with to run as an integrated platform. To add on to that, we have conferencing. So depending on which platform you go with, we have audio and video conferencing solution sets that bundle in with this. Paging. Paging used to be complicated, and integrating paging with SIP was perceived to be a bit of a challenge for some people, and we've got some solutions around that now, which we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail. Access control. Our access control products have recently had some enhancements. I'm going to talk about those and the sort of environments you might install those into. With us adopting the Grandstream product, we've now got video security. I'll talk about that in a bit more detail. I'm going to touch on external communication and how some of that can be managed within the context of this security solution. Remote access for the management, remote management of these systems. Some emergency and duress capabilities that we've had for a while now, but some of you might not be aware of. And finally, of course, the Alloy network infrastructure that all of this runs across. So let's move into this in a bit more detail. So your PBX sits in the middle of this, and it's really the command and control center for security communications. Because all of the components we're talking about here are SIP enabled, all of them can register to a PABX and communicate through and via a PABX system. Now, PABX isn't necessarily mandatory. Some of these solutions can work in a standalone environment, but you'll see once we put the PBX in the middle, that this is where we start to deliver the real power of a communications and security platform. Now, of course, as you know, we have a range of PBXs, software and hardware based. We support SIP trunking, PSTN, BRI, PRI as connectivity options. Of course, 4G gateways are available in the marketplace if you need to add them as a communication option to any of our PBXs. FXS gateways to support analog phones, existing analog phones, etc., etc. So we have a well-rounded solution set for the PBX. But again, what I want to emphasize is when you're going in to talk to these customers, as long as they have a PABX that uses standard SIP or allows for standard SIP endpoints to be connected, you can start deploying the security around that platform. You don't need to do a forklift upgrade of the existing environment as long as it supports SIP endpoints. So once we've gone to the SIP-based PBX platform, whoever it is, now we've got the support for all of our IP and analog desk phones. We can now add PCs, tablets, and mobiles into that mix via soft phones. The soft phones can be audio only. They can be audio and video. By having a soft phone on these mobile devices, you can now support the phones can be supported anywhere within the facility infrastructure that we have Wi-Fi connectivity or even potentially 4G in some cases, but definitely over Wi-Fi. Of course, we've got all the traditional PBX functions above and beyond the key systems, including voicemail, find me, follow me, all the things that we're familiar with there. We have some cordless DECT solutions. Now, we have a number of different DECT offerings. Some of those are a single base station supporting a few phones. Some of them are a single base station plus range extenders to increase the range of that single base station. And we also have the iServe platform, which allows for multiple base stations and for base station roaming. So with the iServe DECT platform, we can distribute these base stations over very large areas, including putting them in sheltered outdoor locations or near outdoor locations to cover large areas of the grounds surrounding a building. So, and again, because iServe supports base station roaming, those people taking a call on a DECT handset can roam through that whole facility without dropping a call or even knowing that they're being handed off to different base stations as they move. Another one that's popular now and very easy to do, and you'd all be aware of, is the remote extensions, the ability to set up either a physical handset or a soft phone off-site, allowing communication back into that facility. And we'll see how important that is when we start looking at the video cameras, security camera capabilities a little bit later. And of course, depending on what platform you're on, we have the optional intra-campus, intra-building, intra-site chat and presence information. Some of the things we're going to talk about, some of the things I just want to touch on really quickly, is the easy integration into existing paging function, particularly when we're going into retail and school environments, it's important that we can integrate to the analog paging infrastructure that is already there, or in some cases, existing SIP, or put in a new greenfield SIP paging infrastructure. So we're going to cover off how easy that is. I've already mentioned extending telephone coverage into the grounds, either with soft phones via Wi-Fi or with decked handsets via decked base stations, which have about a 300-meter range in the open environment. Free inter-campus calling via SIP trunks, we know all about that already. Video call support. So for this solution to work, as I said, our PBXs that we sell support all of this. What you need to make sure is that the SIP endpoints and the SIP PABX will support the communication of the H.264 video codec and give video call support. And of course, call recording where you need it, and depending on what platform you're on, with our PBX, again, as a command and control center of all of this, we can set that up as a high availability option as well. So, talking about some of the endpoints, as I said, desktop phones, we do a range of desktop phones, Yealink, Snom, Grandstream. We have video phones, we have touch phones, color screen phones and grayscale phones, desktops to suit any environment and budget. One of the ones I want to talk about today, just briefly, is the Grandstream GXV 3275. So you'll notice these blue links in this presentation. When you download the data set that'll be on the Alloy website after this, you'll be able to click onto any of these part numbers and it'll load the data sheet for you. So I'm going to do that now and hope that it works. Live testing. It doesn't look too positive, does it? Here we go. Now, you guys might not be able to see that because of how GoToWebinar works, but that presentation opened up the data sheet for me for the GXV 3275. Now, the GXV 3275 is a new phone from Grandstream and a new product for us. It's a high-resolution video phone. It's an Android phone. As an Android phone, it supports the Play Store, and supporting the Play Store means you can download any of a number of apps to this, everything from the Microsoft Link app, Skype, BroadSoft applications, anything you can find in the Android world can be downloaded to this phone. But in terms of how we're going to use it in this solution and talk about it in this solution is the video phone capability and how we integrate that into the video security platform. And because even though it's an Android phone, it's a SIP capable device, it's a desktop phone, it sits connects to our PBX, and we communicate between that and any of the other SIP endpoints. So any SIP endpoint I'm talking about today in this presentation, we can communicate between all of those at an audio or an audio and video capability, depending on what they do. As I said, we have a number of decked platforms. I've already spoken about the iServe one with the multi-base station roaming capability. We also do Grandstream and Yealink are amongst our most popular. And if you speak to your account manager, we have a couple of other models available as well. In terms of soft phones, for whether it be mobile, tablet, or desktop, I've included data sheets in here for the Bria product. We know that to be one of the most reliable ones out there. We know it supports video. We know it supports H.264. So there are a lot of soft phones on the market, but in terms of if you're going to spend money on one, we'd suggest the Bria as a good option. For all of this to hang together, there's the range of Alloy Ethernet switches. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Suffice to know they come in 3 families. That's the unmanaged, with fast Ethernet and gigabit options in 8 and 24 port. We have the Web Smart switches, which are 8 and 24 port again. And on top of that, we have our APS or AMS, the Advanced Managed Capable switches, and they include a 48 port option and some 10 gig uplink options. So they'll certainly go into any large environment very easily. And again, the APS, the Web Smart, and the Gigabit Unmanaged PoE switches, all PoE AT. That's a high power version of PoE over Ethernet. So power over Ethernet, and as I said, that's standard on all of our switches and available on all ports. For the integration of paging, as I said, it's presented a bit of a challenge for us in the past. The CyberData product you're looking at on the screen, it's the paging adapter V3. There's a list of features down the side there, which I'm not going to read through them all, but this paging adapter will support, we haven't found an environment it won't support at the moment. CyberData claims it supports over 95% of the amplifier market. So this box basically sits between your SIP PABX and into your analog amplifier in an existing environment, and away you go. CyberData also provides a whole range of other products. They have SIP-enabled speakers, they have analog amplifiers, and a couple of analog Bell speakers and things for where you really need that extra environment. But for most environments with existing analog PA coverage, such as schools and retail, this paging adapter is all you need to sit between your PBX and that paging environment to make it work. The auto dialer, a lot of PABXs support this sort of functionality. Certainly a couple of the products that we sell do, and it gives you the ability to load phone numbers into a system, have the system automatically call those phone numbers and deliver pre-recorded messages to the recipient, along with some response options. For example, good morning, little Sally didn't show up at school today. Please press 1 if you're aware of that, 2 if you're not sure, and 3 if you'd like to speak to our staff. So I said an auto dialer applications are becoming more common in the marketplace and very useful in that school environment. Other challenges in school and large retail environments is getting the SIP out to where you need it. So with that in mind, we have an extensive range, in fact, of media converters. I've included a couple of data sheets here for you guys to have a look at afterwards. But the main 3 ranges of products we have are the range extenders in 2, 4, and 8 wire versions for running a signal over a longer distance over copper, media converters from 10100 to fiber to copper and gigabit fiber to copper, and then we have the fiber to copper media converter that provides PoE power out the copper link. Now, where we use a hell of a lot of these is in security installations where we have fiber and power at the bottom of a pole. We put one of these media converters in, connect it to the fiber, and then run the copper up the pole to where the camera is mounted and provide AT power to that camera. So handy little product to have in your kit bag. Now, these are the new products, and if you're interested in getting a lot of detail about how these work, all their capabilities, have a look on our website. There's a pre-recorded webinar there that talks about the video security camera solution from Grandstream. It runs for a little over an hour, and I'd highly recommend it as one of the better webinars that we've put together. And if you're interested in this product range, certainly a very, very good place to start. But just to hit the high points here for us all, there's 4 indoor cameras, 4 outdoor cameras. The outdoor cameras are all IP65 and above. There's vandal-proof options. One of the cameras has integrated microphone and speakers. All of the cameras support the option to attach external microphones and speakers. And the really important point about this gear is that all of these cameras are not just IP, but they're SIP-enabled endpoints. Right? So these guys can behave like a telephone. So when we've got a camera in operation, we can call it from a video phone as a simple camera extension, as a simple telephone extension, and see exactly what that camera is seeing. Right? From the other side of it, if we're setting up motion alarms or other types of alarms, which I'll talk about in a moment, but let's say we're setting up motion alarms on these cameras, when that camera alarms and starts recording, we can have it automatically dial another phone. Now that might be a video phone on somebody's desk, it might be a soft phone on somebody's tablet, it could be a soft phone on somebody's mobile, and the recipient of that call will have the ability to not only see the videos on there, but if they've enabled microphones and speakers at the other end, to communicate with the people there. So imagine in a school gym, meant to be locked up, little Johnny gets himself in there, shouldn't be in there, camera detects him, calls the front office, and the front office can now communicate straight away with Johnny and say, straight to detention, sunshine. So this SIP enabling of the security cameras is enabling via the PABX a lot of sophisticated responses above and beyond a normal IP camera. Now, when we combine that with video door stations for back doors in retail, access into school buildings or to staff-only areas, we start to see a pretty complete solution. Now, 2N has brought out a range of additional products and software that we should have available in the very near future, which includes access panels and RFID capabilities. So with the 2N door stations, we've had the ability to upgrade them from just a simple phone extension to RFID for a while now, but now with their access panels that can be used indoors for example, for control of access into a staff room, for control into a computer room or data center, for control into the stock room in a retail environment. Now we have the ability to issue RFID cards to the staff and appropriate people and control who has access into which areas of a campus or facility. So, as I said, we have the security cameras, the door stations, the access control now at a door level and at a staff level. And on top of that, the final piece of that puzzle is the video recording. Now, there's a device from Grandstream called the GVR 3550, and it is low cost but a very sophisticated NVR for network recording of video data from these cameras. It can take a large number of data feeds. It can record all of them. It will support up to 16 terabytes of storage. And then you have an option for it what you do when that capacity becomes full. So override, stop recording, etc., and alarm when that issue arises as well. Some of the other functionality in that DVR, though, that is very, very, I was going to say sexy, so I'll probably stick with that. Some of the sexy features in the GVR that I really like is, first of all, we have the ability to continually record to that from cameras around the whatever facility we're protecting. At the same time, without interrupting that recording, we can access these cameras from a telephone extension. At the same time, we can access them from the GVR 3550 software interface, which gives us access to monitor and configure cameras, or we can access the cameras from an application, a free application that comes with every one of these cameras. So we have a number of ways of accessing these cameras, and we can access them from multiple points at one time without interrupting the quality of that feed going out to all of these points at one time. It also supports alarm inputs and alarm outputs. So what we have the ability to do now is from our alarm system is connect a relay to the GVR to, for example, a smoke detector. So the smoke detector in the gym alarms for some reason. What we can do is have that alarm go to the GVR, and the GVR will activate recording on that camera, on that specific camera. Now, when that camera is alarmed, we can also have it make a phone call to somebody in the office or on a soft phone or a number of other responses. So, as I said, because we have SIP-enabled devices now, and we can integrate these all together through a SIP-capable PBX, this platform becomes highly integrated. Excuse me. On top of that, from CyberData, we have a number of products that we've carried for some time, but I'm not sure how many of you are aware of them. And again, SIP-enabled devices. So we have a number of one-button intercoms, including the big bright red emergency intercom, which is simply a SIP telephone, if you like, with some other capabilities around it. One button, push that one button, it can dial an extension, a multi-extension ring group, an external number, however you want to configure that. It has dry relay capabilities in there for remote door release. It has options for automatic door release, power down, open all the doors, etc., etc., however you want to configure that. It even includes a door open monitor and a vandal or intrusion monitor. And again, we have the ability to activate the CyberData strobes from this point. Now, these strobes might be used in an emergency environment. They might be used in a loud environment to indicate, such as a warehouse, to indicate just incoming calls. And we have some emergency broadcast functions from these units as well. Excuse me, because they're obviously two-way SIP communication devices. So again, I've included the data sheets for these couple of products specifically, but I'd encourage you to have a look at some of the other CyberData endpoints that you can add into a solution, whether it be, as I said, retail, schools, smart homes, that may be of relevance to that environment or to the user group that you're dealing with. And intercom and access control, again, CyberData has a number of intercom and access control call buttons. You can have single button, you can have keypads. I've already mentioned the 2N product, which again, single button, multiple button, keypads, and with video capability. So if you're looking for video capability, we go to the 2N product. If you're looking for audio only, we can go down to the CyberData. But again, these devices all include, dry relays for electronic door lock opening and closing, intrusion monitor, the ability to activate strobes. There's a number of sophisticated ways these boxes can be configured, but underneath all of that, they're a SIP device enabling two-way communication over a SIP platform. So guys, that was the fast version of it. There's a lot of different products in there. As I say, we'll make the data sheets available on the website for download in a data bundle for you. With that, I'm going to open the floor to questions and answers and stop the recording.